His newest analysis of 3i Atlas doesn't just challenge what we think we know, it overturns it. The data doesn't add up. A massive interstellar object, tens of billions of tons in scale, and yet it behaves as if it's almost hollow. If it's not built by nature, then who or what built it? When Avi Loeb published his updated model of 3i Atlas, the astronomical community expected another strange comet. What they got instead was a mathematical contradiction too large to ignore. The numbers show an object roughly 33 billion tons in mass. Yet when it passed just 29 million kilometers from Mars, its gravitational influence was nearly zero. That's impossible for something of that size. If Atlas were solid, a mountain of rock and ice, its pull would have been measurable, bending trajectories, tugging at dust fields, altering orbital timing. But it didn't. Its spin rate too defies logic. It rotates too slowly for its diameter, as if most of its weight simply isn't there. The only solution that fits the equations, a hollow interior. In other words, something enormous is moving through our solar system, acting like it's empty or engineered. In physics, numbers don't lie, but sometimes they whisper something we aren't ready to hear. When researchers compared 3i Atlas to every known comet in our catalogs, the results broke all sense of scale and logic. Typical comets have densities that make them behave like dirty snowballs, chaotic, uneven, fragile under pressure. Their spins wobble, their surfaces fracture, their tails fluctuate with every solar flare. But Atlas doesn't behave that way. It's stable, symmetrical, and eerily composed. Even its rotation contradicts natural mechanics. For an object that size, a uniform spin would require perfect mass distribution, something no random collection of rock and ice could achieve. The stress should have torn it apart long ago. Instead, it moves with the precision of design. Astrophysicists now refer to it as the shell-body paradox, a form so hollow it should collapse, yet so resilient it endures, a structure that acts less like a natural relic and more like a deliberate framework. This isn't a mountain in space, it's geometry pretending to be nature. If 3i Atlas were the first of its kind, skepticism would be easy, but it's not. It's the third. Back in 2017, Oumuamua streaked through our solar system, accelerating as if pushed by invisible hands. 2 years later, Borisov followed, a comet from another star that carried chemistry no model could explain. Both were dismissed as coincidences, rare flukes of cosmic motion. Then came Atlas, faster, brighter, and mathematically stranger than both. Its hollow core and symmetrical spin fit no natural pattern we've ever documented. 3 anomalies in less than a decade after billions of years of silence is not randomness. It's rhythm, a sequence, a pattern, each visitor behaving less like a rock and more like an idea, building upon the last. They're not accidents in space. They're milestones in awareness. While telescopes track 3i Atlas in the cold depths of space, something equally strange has been happening much closer to home, right above our launch pad. Aerospace engineer Chenna Soni, a veteran of NASA's launch operations, recently broke years of silence. In multiple briefings, she described encounters that left even seasoned propulsion specialists speechless. During several heavy lift rocket launches, including missions bound for the International Space Station, her team observed unidentified craft appearing near ignition windows. These weren't vague blurs or atmospheric distortions. They were distinct maneuvering bodies, arriving precisely as the countdowns hit zero, hovering in place against high-altitude winds, and then moving instantly. No inertia, no visible propulsion, no sonic boom. They'd shift direction in ways that defied Newtonian mechanics, performing course corrections faster than any known vehicle could tolerate. Then, just as silently, they'd vanish. Sony and her team logged every instant. At first, they assumed optical interference, but the radar signatures were there too, recorded across multiple independent sensors, different locations, different missions, the same pattern. And here's the detail that chills every engineer who hears it. These craft appeared only when humanity was attempting to leave Earth. Never during test firings, never during maintenance, only when engines ignited to break free of gravity. It's as if our reaching upward triggers a response, a mirror movement in the skies above. Every time humanity reaches for the sky, something answers. In 1983, a classified CIA report titled The Gateway Experience suggested something extraordinary, that consciousness itself might interact directly with spacetime. Using brainwave synchronization, researchers at the Monroe Institute found evidence that human awareness could operate non-locally, unbound by distance. At first glance, it sounds like pseudoscience, but at the quantum level, physics already agrees observation changes reality. In the famous double-slit experiment, particles behave as waves until someone watches, and then the probability collapses into a single fact. The universe doesn't just exist independently, it responds to attention. Now imagine a civilization that understands and controls that principle, one that doesn't burn fuel or bend gravity, but bends probability itself. Their ships wouldn't need engines because they wouldn't move through space. They'd shift through awareness. They'd appear wherever consciousness focuses, near launches, near observation points, near human intent. If thought can shape matter, then technology built on thought would make physics look like poetry. Step back for a moment from the data, the signals, the sightings, and a single thread begins to emerge. 3I. Atlas, the launch phenomena, and the strange resonance between observation and response may not be separate mysteries at all. They could all be symptoms of one underlying truth, that the universe itself is interactive. When a spacecraft leaves Earth, something watches. When we focus our instruments on a hollow traveler from beyond the stars, it reacts subtly, mathematically, but unmistakably. And when consciousness observes at the smallest quantum scale, reality reorganizes itself to meet that gaze. Maybe space isn't empty. Maybe it's listening, an ocean of awareness where every act of observation creates ripples that travel farther than we can imagine. If that's true, then these interstellar visitors, these watchers in our skies, and even our own focused curiosity are all part of the same conversation, an ongoing exchange between mind and matter, between sentience and structure. They don't move through distance, they move through attention. Here's the paradox that physics can't escape. To measure something is to change it. Every observation reshapes the very fabric we're trying to understand. Reality doesn't exist as a fixed state. It's more like a story that only writes itself when we look. So what happens when an entire civilization looks at once, when telescopes, satellites, and millions of minds focus on the same interstellar anomaly? Does the universe respond in kind? Some physicists have begun to wonder whether we're part of an unfolding feedback loop, one where observation itself acts as a kind of signal, drawing attention across cosmic scales. Maybe 3I Atlas isn't just passing through our system. Maybe it's appearing because we were finally ready to see it. Not coincidence, not discovery, synchronization. 3I Atlas might not be the message we received. It might be the question we were meant to ask. Whether a vessel, a relic, or an impossible fluke of nature, 3I Atlas has already forced us to redefine what it means to observe. It's not just about telescopes or equations anymore. It's about participation, about realizing that in studying the universe, we may be part of how it studies itself, because if this hollow traveler truly carries awareness, if its motion and silence are deliberate, then the next signal won't just rewrite astrophysics, it will rewrite consciousness itself. And if NASA's next findings confirm what the math already whispers, we'll be forced to redefine what alive really means.